Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and no tech wizard. It's just me today because of the recent... I think I've heard recently that YouTube are having a bit of a clampdown on people actually talking about it. Some videos are disappearing or being flagged if people talk about why everybody's having a panic on at the moment. But that's why it's just me today. So rather than focus on such a negative, and my placement finished on Friday, my school placement, so I haven't actually really been playing anything, I'm going to get straight into things I want to talk about. And I've actually been able to do a bit of research because I wasn't at a school on Monday or Tuesday for obvious reasons. So, story one. The thing that we're not allowed to talk about, the countries all over the world going into lockdown. How is that going to affect game development, and especially the development of the two big new consoles on the way, the Xbox and the Series X, I think it's called, and the PlayStation 5? How is that going to work? Well, I don't know. A lot of these companies are having their employees work from home, which can be effective, but only up to a point. So some games may be far enough along that that's okay. They may be in the concept phase, so that's okay. But if they're at a certain level, that won't work. The development needs people in the same place talking to each other. Also, when it comes to the physical creation of consoles, well, manufacturing requires people to be present. So that might take a bit of a hit as well. The short answer is I haven't got a clue. All I know is that it's something that we're going to have to pay attention to, because a lot of deadlines are going to have to be pushed back. I mean, this could be a couple of months, or it could be like a year and a half. It depends on when governments, are they waiting for a vaccine or a treatment, or are they just waiting till so many people have had it that it's starting to die down? We don't know yet. So it'll depend, but it's something that we should keep an eye on, and don't be too reliant upon development being able to meet the deadlines that it had said it would try to meet before, because it's not guaranteed at all anymore. So I suppose that's that thing I want to talk. When it comes to that particular thing I wish to speak about, try and be aware of the fact that this is going to be very flexible from here on in. And a lot of people will be changing either how they deliver the content or when they deliver it. Next is EA. So Anthem is now a year old and still is rubbish. They released vinyls for people who were playing the game on the birthday of the game, as opposed to actually releasing new content. So, if you're still playing Anthem, God bless you as it were, but that's tough and rough. The other thing, of course, which somehow manages to absolutely drown out the fact that Anthem is terrible, is that EA have been having problems with their servers recently. Servers crashing. And that was particularly evident during a FIFA contest in which it was a Phase 2 game, I think they call it, between two competitors, in which it was decided by a game of rock, paper, scissors because the two competitors couldn't find each other on the server to play against each other. That's laughably bad, but also terrible. Because people win money at these things, so to get knocked out of a FIFA competition on rock, paper, scissors is just, imagine if you paid tickets to see that. They weren't allowed to refuse because both players would have been ejected from the competition according to EA's rules. They would both have, if they'd refused to play rock, paper, scissors, they would have been ejected, as they would both have been would have refused to play their match, and therefore it would have gone down as a loss, and therefore they had to try and win this game of rock, paper, scissors, which is just like, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. But that's kind of what EA do now. They're embarrassing. They've done well with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but that's basically because they just took they backed away and let people who were better than them get the job done. anything they touch is just falling apart. Speaking about, the next story is very similar. Speaking about people touching things and falling apart, Bethesda, Doom Eternal released a video TV advert. A TV advert. And it's random clips from Doom Eternal with rap music over the top. Now, if you've ever played Doom or seen Doom, Doom is rock or heavy metal. It's not rap music. What they've tried to do there is they've tried to market Doom Eternal to basically casual gamers who may not be that into Doom. And what they've actually done is advertise a game that doesn't exist. Because the advert is so bad that people who played the first Doom and who have seen this Doom don't see any Doom in it. They don't see anything in there that actually looks like Doom, because it's the gameplay that's demonstrated isn't representative of the game. The music isn't representative. It looks like a random shooter with terrible music. It doesn't fit. So it's a rubbish advert where they've tried to aim to hit as many people as possible and failed to catch the actual audience they should have been aiming at. And they won't have caught anybody else either, because it doesn't show the game off to its full majesty. So I suggest go and watch it and make up your own mind, but it's awful. So what we've had so far, there's 3 things that were all bad. EA, Bethesda, and the reason why things might be getting put off or have reduced numbers or all that sort of jazz. So here we go with what I consider to be a good piece of news. Cyberpunk, The Witcher, CD Projekt Red. So CD Projekt Red have submitted Cyberpunk 2077 to age rating agencies around the world, and are now focusing on playtesting the game and making sure that it functions where it's supposed to. That sounds really, really promising. So they're saying that they'll be able to get the game out for its currently stated release date, because they're not actually in the heavy going part of the game. They're just basically polishing it off. Cyberpunk will be released for reviewers, I think it's 3 weeks in advance. The embargo will be set for a week prior to release. So that means that they're not ashamed of their game, because they're giving the reviewers plenty of time to play it. Even though it's a big game, weeks to play it is good. And they're giving people who need to actually take in that content from reviewers, they're giving the gamers time to take that content in and decide for themselves if this is something they want to get. They're like giving people that time to work through whether or not they want it. So they're not in, it's completely pro-consumer, but it's also completely honest from CD Projekt Red. We think this game's amazing, so we're totally comfortable with you getting a chance to scrutinise it, because we know you'll love it. And currently it's that attitude's working, because pre-orders for Cyberpunk 2077 are higher than they were for the pre-orders for The Witcher 3 at the same point in time, when it comes to development and release. So that attitude's working for them. They've also stated that after Cyberpunk 2077, one team will work on add-ons for the single player, and another will work on an online version of the game. Now, if you take into account Gwent, and then when they tried to add a little bit to Gwent, they ended up making the entire game Thronebreaker, it's quite possible that the online version could grow into its completely own game. So that's something to keep an eye on. In a positive way, because as we've seen from the whole giving reviewers time to see it, they're proud of this creation. So this is all positive. It's all pro-consumer. So there's no tricks here. This is all looking very, very good. So if they end up making the online version into its own thing, that's still very, very good. It goes along with the fact that they've also stated that when the new consoles come out, if you already own the game for the previous generation, you will get a free upgrade. You will not have to buy the game twice, like people made you do when the Xbox One came out. There's absolutely no tricks here. It's not like the Bethesda review policy for Doom. They thought Doom was going to tank, so they basically released it in such a way that people couldn't review it properly, and then it was amazing. So they then tried to use that as reasoning why the review policy of not handing out copies and pushing the dates quite far was a good idea. But then, that people saw through that, and because they were getting so much backlash, they had to change their policy back to something else. The last thing when it comes to CD Projekt Red, other than Cyberpunk 27 is amazing and is on track, is that they're focused on Cyberpunk 27 at the moment, but they will move on to other projects after its completion. And the Witcher TV show has recently been destroying Netflix. It's top spot, knocking things like The Mandalorian off of top spot. And it's caused people to actually flood back to the games too. They're breaking records, I think, for the player base size is bigger than it's been in, I think, either in years and years and years or ever at all. It's really causing a resurgence of The Witcher 3 and other Witcher games. And that's resulted in them talking about the potential for a Witcher 4, The Witcher 4. So that's looking really, really good. So if you're watching the TV show and you're wanting to buy Cyberpunk 2077, keep at it. Because if we get a Witcher 4 after Cyberpunk 2077, that would be amazing. So keep pushing, because it looks like they're really thinking about it, and that would be absolutely amazing, because I love The Witcher 1, I love The Witcher 2, I know I'm going to love The Witcher 3 when I get round to it, so which I could do just now because I've got months off. Term doesn't start till August. So we've got time here for me to try that, and if you guys keep pushing, eventually I'll be able to try Witcher 4, because it's looking like they really want to make one. And we're not hearing as much bad things about the crunch. I mean, they've still got a crunch problem, but they seem to be working on it, so that's pretty good. So all in all, that little story to end with CD Projekt Red is really, really good. Because it looks to me as if they are a beacon of hope in this shadowy, dark world of pain and suffering and misery and fear. And so I'm going to keep hold of that. And I think it's good, actually, if you think about it from a gaming point of view. We don't really have many things we can do right now. And them releasing an enormous game where we can just sit down and play it. Smart. Very, very smart. But not deliberately smart, very lucky. They didn't plan it this way. But it's going to work out very well for everyone. On that front. It's not going to work out very well in other ways, but we're not trying to focus on that. We're trying to focus on the positives. So this is an upside. This is a potential. This is a way for you to try and look forward to something and to enjoy something. And I hope you do when it comes. So that's all I've got to talk about just now. Because of the thing that we're not allowed to talk about, it'll be very difficult for me and Abigail to actually be in the same place to record. So that's not going to work. So we're trying to look into other ways of doing it. And other ways of producing content, particularly video game footage. So hopefully soon we can do that, because now there's no constraints on our time external to this. So we should be able to push a bit faster and a bit harder and maybe get something achieved. What we're hoping is that any equipment that we have to order before we can start gets here before they only start to ship essentials. Because, we would then be stuck. Anyway, fingers crossed. Hopefully this works very well and we get a chance to get some things done. And on a more serious note, more important note, I hope that anybody listening to this is keeping well, doing well, and try to keep positive. Because as terrible as these things are, time moves on, they pass, and we'll be alright. Anyway. I'll talk to you again in a week. And stay safe. Try and have fun. And I hope everyone's okay. When it comes to OverShadow, you can, if you've enjoyed this, you can like and subscribe. You can click the notification bell. You can watch our other videos. We've got a lot. You can leave a comment below. You can email at overshadow@shadowcast@gmail.com. And when we start making gameplay videos, the Facebook page at overshadow.shadowcast will be used. So if you are needing anything, then we're here if we can supply it. Other than that, as I said, stay safe, try and keep your head up, and I'll see you in a week. Bye.